Stop waiting for the perfect time, because the truth is, the perfect time is a story we tell ourselves to feel safe. It's a comfortable lie that says, not yet, later, when I'm ready. But readiness is not a moment that arrives, it's a decision we make. The idea of the perfect time feels reassuring. It gives us a sense of control in a world that often feels unpredictable. We tell ourselves that when things are calmer, when we are more confident, when we have more resources or fewer fears, then we will begin. This belief doesn't sound like fear, it sounds like wisdom. It sounds responsible. But beneath that calm surface, waiting for the perfect time is often a way of protecting ourselves from discomfort. The perfect time is a myth because life rarely arranges itself into neat, quiet spaces where nothing can go wrong. There will always be uncertainty, unfinished business, competing responsibilities, and unknown outcomes. If we make our growth dependent on ideal conditions, we give our power to circumstances we cannot control. What we call patience is sometimes avoidance dressed up as preparation. Waiting feels safe because it postpones exposure. It delays the moment when we might fail, be judged, or realize that we don't know as much as we hoped. The myth of perfect timing whispers that hesitation is thoughtful, that delay equals maturity. But often, it is fear asking for more time to feel comfortable. And fear is never fully satisfied. It will always find another reason to wait. The danger of believing in the perfect time is subtle. It doesn't stop us all at once. It slowly trains us to distrust ourselves. Each time we ignore a quiet inner nudge, we reinforce the idea that our fear deserves more authority than our values. Over time, this erodes confidence, not because we failed, but because we never tried. Regret grows not from mistakes, but from the moments we never allowed ourselves to step into. The truth is that meaningful change almost always begins in imperfect conditions. Growth starts when things are messy, when the path is unclear, and when we feel only partially ready. Waiting for the perfect time assumes that confidence comes before action, but confidence is actually built through action. It is created by showing up, learning as we go, and surviving what we once feared. Letting go of the myth of perfect timing doesn't mean acting recklessly. It means recognizing that readiness is not a feeling we wait for. It is a choice we make. It means trusting ourselves enough to begin before everything feels certain. When we stop waiting for life to give us permission, we reclaim our agency. We stop standing on the sidelines of our own lives and step into the imperfect, brave work of becoming. We often believe that clarity is something we must discover before we begin. We tell ourselves that once we know exactly what to do, how it will turn out, and who we will become in the process, then we will move. This belief makes hesitation feel responsible, even wise. But in reality, clarity rarely arrives as a prerequisite. It is a result of motion, not a requirement for it. When we wait for clarity, we are usually waiting for certainty. We want guarantees that our effort will be worth it, that we won't embarrass ourselves, that the path will be smooth. But life does not offer that kind of assurance. Most meaningful decisions are made without a full map. They are made with partial information, intuition, and a willingness to learn along the way. Expecting clarity before action places an impossible standard on growth. Action is how we gather information about ourselves and the world. It reveals what excites us, what drains us, what aligns with our values, and what doesn't. Without action, everything stays theoretical. We can analyze endlessly, but thinking alone cannot teach us what experience does. It is only by stepping forward that we begin to see what fits and what needs to change. There is also a deeper reason we wait for clarity: fear of making the wrong choice. We worry that once we move, we will be trapped by that decision. But clarity is not about choosing perfectly, it is about adjusting honestly. Action gives us feedback. It allows us to course correct, refine, and grow wiser. Stillness offers none of that, it only preserves doubt. Clarity grows through engagement. Each step, no matter how small, sharpens our understanding. We learn what we are capable of handling, what boundaries we need, and what truly matters to us. Confidence is built not by knowing the outcome, but by trusting ourselves to respond to whatever comes next. Waiting for clarity can feel safe, but it often keeps us stuck in the same questions. Movement, even imperfect movement, breaks that cycle. It replaces speculation with experience. When we stop demanding certainty and start choosing participation, the fog begins to lift. Not all at once, but enough to take the next step. And often, that next step is all the clarity we need. Fear is often misunderstood as a signal to stop. We feel it tighten in our chest, quicken our thoughts, and cloud our confidence, and we assume it means we are unprepared or incapable. But fear does not exist to block growth. It exists to warn us that something matters. If courage required fear to disappear, very little in life would ever begin. Courage is not a calm feeling or a sudden surge of confidence. It is a decision made in the presence of uncertainty. It is choosing to move forward even when your voice shakes, even when the outcome is unclear, even when part of you wants to retreat to what feels familiar. Courage is not loud or dramatic. Often, it is quiet and deeply personal. We are taught to believe that strong people are fearless, that they act boldly because doubt never touches them. In reality, the bravest people feel fear just as intensely as anyone else. The difference is not the absence of fear, but the relationship they have with it. They do not let fear make decisions for them. They acknowledge it, listen to it, and then choose based on their values rather than their comfort. Moving while afraid builds trust in yourself. Each time you act despite fear, you prove that discomfort is survivable. You learn that anxiety does not equal danger and that vulnerability does not equal weakness. This kind of learning cannot be gained through thinking alone. It is earned through experience, through showing up again and again, even when it feels hard. Avoidance, on the other hand, strengthens fear. When we wait for fear to disappear, we teach ourselves that fear is in control. The longer we avoid what scares us, the larger it grows in our imagination. What once felt manageable begins to feel impossible. Courage interrupts this cycle by replacing avoidance with action. Moving while afraid does not mean ignoring your limits or pushing recklessly forward. It means taking intentional steps while honoring your humanity. It means saying, I am scared and I am still willing. That willingness is powerful. It reshapes how we see ourselves and expands what we believe we can handle. Fear may walk beside you, but it does not have to lead. Courage allows you to carry fear without being ruled by it. And over time, as you continue to move, fear loosens its grip, not because it vanished, but because you grew stronger than it. Self-trust is built through small, consistent acts of honoring what we know to be true for ourselves. It grows when our actions align with our inner voice, when we listen and respond rather than ignore and postpone. Waiting, especially when it becomes a habit, slowly interrupts this relationship. Not all waiting is harmful, but the kind rooted in fear has a quiet cost that often goes unnoticed. Each time we feel a clear inner nudge, to speak up, to begin, to set a boundary, to choose ourselves, and we delay it, we send ourselves a message. That message is not neutral. It says your instinct is not reliable, or your fear deserves more authority than your truth. Over time, these messages accumulate. We may not feel the damage immediately, but gradually our confidence in our own judgment weakens. Waiting often disguises itself as practicality. We tell ourselves we are being patient, responsible, or strategic, but deep down there is usually a knowing, a sense that we are not waiting for the right reason. That quiet awareness is important. When we repeatedly override it, we begin to doubt not just our decisions, but our ability to make decisions at all. We start looking outward for validation, permission, and reassurance that used to come from within. The erosion of self-trust doesn't happen dramatically. It happens in small moments of self-betrayal, in the conversations we avoid, in the opportunities we delay, in the boundaries we don't enforce. Each moment seems insignificant on its own, but together they shape how we see ourselves. We begin to feel disconnected, hesitant, and unsure, not because we lack capability, but because we have practiced ignoring our own signals. Rebuilding self-trust requires action, not perfection. It begins when we choose to respond to ourselves again. Even small steps matter. Following through on one honest decision reminds us that we are capable of taking care of ourselves. Self-trust grows when we prove, through experience, that we can handle the outcomes of our choices, even when they are uncomfortable. Waiting may feel safe, but it slowly teaches us to doubt our own voice. Action, even imperfect action, restores integrity between what we feel and what we do. When we stop postponing ourselves, we begin to rebuild the trust that waiting quietly took away. Many of us spend endless hours trying to find the right time to start, speak up, or make a change. We wait for circumstances to feel perfect, for schedules to align, for fear to dissipate. But in doing so, we often overlook something far more important than timing: alignment. Alignment is about whether your actions reflect your values, your priorities, and the person you want to become. It is the compass that guides meaningful choices, not the clock on the wall. Timing is unpredictable. Life rarely hands us opportunities at the moment we feel most ready. Waiting for the world to align with our ideal conditions is a form of surrender to chance, rather than a commitment to our own agency. Alignment, on the other hand, is within our control. It is the choice to act in ways that honor what matters to us, even when circumstances are messy or inconvenient. When our actions are aligned with our values, we build integrity, confidence, and momentum, regardless of whether the timing feels perfect. When we prioritize timing over alignment, we risk losing ourselves in hesitation. We postpone meaningful work, difficult conversations, or personal growth because the conditions aren't exactly right. We measure opportunities against an imaginary standard of perfection rather than the truth of what resonates within us. Over time, this creates a disconnect between who we are and how we show up in the world. Waiting for the perfect moment can feel safe, but it slowly teaches us that external factors hold more authority than our own judgment. Alignment shifts the focus from fear and uncertainty to purpose and intention. It asks, does this action reflect who I am and who I want to become? Rather than, is this the right time? When we act from alignment, even imperfect steps feel meaningful because they honor our values. When fear or discomfort arises, alignment provides a foundation of trust in ourselves. We can tolerate uncertainty, setbacks, and mistakes because we know our direction is rooted in what matters most. True progress is rarely born from perfect timing. It is born from choices that reflect integrity, courage, and presence. Alignment creates forward motion, even in the midst of uncertainty. It teaches us to trust ourselves and our instincts, rather than waiting for a moment that may never come. When alignment leads, timing becomes secondary. The courage to act in harmony with your values is what turns hesitation into growth, doubt into confidence, and potential into reality. We often convince ourselves that before we take a step, everything must be perfectly in place. The plan must be flawless, the timing ideal, and our confidence unwavering. This belief makes starting feel like an impossible task, but the truth is, momentum is rarely born from perfection. It is born from action, imperfect, messy, sometimes awkward action. Movement itself generates clarity, energy, and growth. Waiting for everything to line up is not a strategy, it is a barrier to progress. Imperfect action has a unique power. When we take the first step, even without all the answers, we engage with reality. We test ideas, learn what works, and uncover what doesn't. Each attempt provides feedback we cannot get from thinking or planning alone. Analysis can only take us so far. Experience is the teacher that turns hesitation into insight. By acting, we gain knowledge, adjust our direction, and build confidence incrementally. Momentum is cumulative, and each imperfect step adds weight and energy to the next one. Many of us fear starting because we associate mistakes with failure. But mistakes are not signs of weakness, they are signals of engagement. They indicate that we are participating in life rather than standing on the sidelines. Each misstep teaches us, reshapes our approach, and strengthens our resilience. The perfect plan would eliminate mistakes, but it would also eliminate growth. Imperfect action embraces the reality that we cannot predict everything, but we can respond, adapt, and keep moving. There is also a psychological element to momentum. Action creates a sense of forward motion that thinking alone cannot replicate. When we move, we feel more capable and alive. The energy generated by doing, even imperfectly, builds confidence, shifts perspective, and opens doors that were invisible while we waited. Inertia is broken not by clarity or readiness, but by movement. One small step triggers another, and gradually, what felt overwhelming becomes manageable. Imperfection is not an excuse for inaction, it is the starting point for all meaningful progress. Waiting for readiness often leads to stagnation, while imperfect action creates opportunity. Each attempt, no matter how flawed, generates learning, growth, and momentum. By embracing action over perfection, we build trust in ourselves and the process. The courage to begin imperfectly is the spark that sets transformation in motion. Momentum follows those who move, not those who wait.